Hey guys, welcome back to the MatchNet podcast. This episode I want to share with y'all is matching stories with Robert and Carina and Wonky and Kayoko. I think you're going to really appreciate this episode if you are in a matching process or you're trying to figure out what this matching process actually looks like in real life. You probably just heard my daughter screaming in the other room. That's okay. Or you maybe are experiencing a bottleneck or a constraint in your own matching process, especially if in relationship with your parents. If you're trying to figure out how to have these conversations with your parents and you're not able to break through, then these stories are really going to help you a lot. So I hope you enjoy. And of course, if you do enjoy this episode, then I would encourage you to share it with somebody that you love, your parents, your child, whoever it may be, because the only reason we do this is to help folks just like you at home to go through this matching and blessing thing. And the conversation really starts when we just talk about and share about. And that's why we do this. All right. If you don't want this episode to see the light of day and you don't want this podcast to grow, then don't share it with anybody. Of course, I'm kidding. We love you guys. All right. Enjoy.
We're going to actually invite up our first couple. They're from Texas and their names are Wonky and Kayoko Todd. So I'm very excited to welcome them up for their first testimony here.
Hi, everyone. My name's Wonky and Todd. This is my wife, Kayoko.
Hi.
So we were blessed in 2017. So we've been married for 3.5 years now. So our matching testimony is very unique, kind of different. So just real quick, I grew up in Bath, Maine, small fishing town. In Maine, there's about 10 active families in the church. So the thing about growing up in Maine, so every time when there's something new that comes up about the matching, we get the news last, and we don't get a lot of information when it comes to the matching or the blessing. So when I met Kayoko in New York, I was living in New York. I was living in Tarrytown. I told my dad, like, hey, Dad, there's a sister that I met in New York, and I'm thinking of sharing my profile picture to her parents. And he said, that's wonderful. I'm all for it. Just good luck, because you kind of have to do it by yourself, because he has no idea where to begin with the matching. So our matching was kind of very independent. Our parents, they were very active with our matching. Just my parents, they were in Texas at the time, and Kayoko's parents was in Japan. So it was just the two of us in New York. We had a lot of support with our friend Justin Okamoto. He's the one that introduced us to each other. So yeah, it was very independent. We kind of had to do everything by ourselves. When it comes to the matching, how to begin, what's the right steps to take. So yeah, we met in Tarrytown, New York. The first time I met Kayoko was at Camp Sunrise. It was a regional Sunday service, and we did a little workshop after the Sunday service, and we're partnering up together to kind of talk about divine principle, what we believe in the principle. And the first time I met Kayoko, she actually thought I was first generation. Because I had a big beard. It was like down to here. I had gauges, tattoos. So she had no idea I was actually second generation. So we started talking about the principle a little bit, what kind of inspires us about the church, and when it comes to divine principle. And I think it was, 4 months later, about a couple months later, maybe 2 months later, she came over to the second gen house in Tarrytown to have lunch with Justin Okamoto and his wife, because they're about to move to Japan. And I was kind of searching for my match. I tried a couple of times, it never worked out for me. And then Justin Okamoto, I was out. It's kind of funny. So I was outside. I think I was chopping firewood or something. And he calls me. He goes, "Hey, remember the sister that you met at Camp Sunrise? She's here. We're having lunch together. You should come over and introduce yourself again." I was like, "Man, I don't know what to say." And he goes, "Don't worry about it. Just come over and ask for some sugar or something." So I came over. I was like, "Hey, neighbor, do you guys have any sugar? We're out." And then that was kind of like the excuse to come over and introduce myself to Kayoko. And we just sat down, had lunch together with Okamoto's. I explained I was a Sunday school teacher, what I was doing with the church, and then so that's how it kind of got started. Justin Okamoto was kind of like a match in Avaja for like a week, and then he just took off to Japan. So, that's kind of like my part of the testimony. I think Kayoko can fill you out with the rest.
Yeah. So like for me, so I met him in Camp Sunrise, and then I was so scared of him because he has so like big beard, and I've never seen those kind of second gens, and I thought he's much older than me, but actually he wasn't. He was younger than me, and I was so surprised. And then yes, and Justin Okamoto, he told me he's gonna find match for me. I was finding, and then my parents were finding someone for me in Japan, but it didn't work well. So I kind of say, "Oh yes, please find someone for me." And then Justin, but he was going to Japan, so the day Wonky came over, I was so sad about Justin and his wife, my best friends, are going back to Japan, and then I was so sad. I didn't kind of expect about Wonky as coming, and he's introduced himself, but I didn't listen to it actually. And then after Justin asked me, "How about Wonky?" And "What do you mean?" And he said, "How about Wonky for your match?" Wow, wait. I was so confused, and then I asked I asked Justin to give me a profile of Wonky because I don't know him. And then since I grown up in Japan, and then my parents are Japanese, so I just wanted to show Wonky's profile to my parents. And then Justin sent me Wonky's picture and profile, and I sent it to my parents. And then my parents was so surprised. I mean, they at the first time they say no because because Wonky had a big beard. The Japanese people never expecting kind of second gens, like big beard with gauges. And then my parents were like, "Why he has beard?" I say, "I don't know." And then they asked me, "Why? Wait, does he have tattoos?" And then, tattoos for Yakuza in Japan. So they were like, "Oh, okay, maybe not this time. Maybe no." And I talked to Justin. "Oh, well, my parents didn't like him." And then Justin was, "No, they're misunderstanding." Because Japanese stereotype. So Justin he set up the meeting for Wonky's mom and then my parents. And then Wonky's mom called my parents, and then they talk about the matching process in Japanese. And then my parents totally changed. And my parents really liked Wonky's mom. And then they say like, "Oh my God, she's so awesome. She's so amazing." And then, "Yeah, let's do it." Okay. And that's the starting point. Yeah, I do want.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how much time we have left.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
So yeah, like I said, it was for us, it was really interesting, very, very different. Because both of our parents, her parents were in Japan, my parents was in Texas at the time. Um, so it was really independent for us. We kind of had to 6 minutes left, so we had to kind of like MacGyver our way into educating ourselves when it comes to the matching, like reading the matching handbook. Just for me personally, I had to find somebody in the community to help me out and educate myself, to kind of teach me the ropes about the matching, the steps to take. That was Aunt Debbie, Debbie Galley in New York. She helped me a lot. So it was really interesting. And I think my biggest advice is to, just to have fun with it. Of course, the matching is very important, and there's a lot of values behind it. There's a purpose behind it. But I think, especially doing the matching, it's just to have fun, go on dates and just figure out, who the person you are going to get matched with, who they are, what they like. Like I love peanut butter and Kayoko hates peanut butter, something like that. And when the first time I picked her up, I had metal music in the car, and she was just, what is this noise? So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Trying to think what's another thing we can talk about. Do you have any advice?
Oh yeah. So like why? So after my parents say yes, there's a reason why I decided like get matched with him was he talked about his past very honestly. Like he didn't talk about like very good thing, but everything in the past. And then I feel like he had a past, but it shows like God, heavenly parents really loves him, and then heavenly parents really want to love him. So I felt it from his story, from the past, and then I really appreciate it. I mean, I really loved his honest mind. Yeah, and then that's the reason I decided to get matched.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I didn't know if you guys were done. No, if you have something to close it out, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just real quick, 15 minutes is a short time. So I'm trying to figure out, kind of cut it short, and trying to figure out what to say. But yeah, I think that's really important, is to be really honest during your matching process. Even your first introduction with each other, everyone has skeletons, right, in the closet, I guess you can say, and it's good to be honest. It's good to be honest about your past and where you are with the church. Even though you might not 100% understand the divine principle, which is okay. It's just to be 100% honest with each other. It really helps, down the road, especially, after, in the blessing. So yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much for sharing your story. I don't know you both at all, but getting to know you a little bit through your sharing, I'm just this is very unique. Like you said, very unique, because I'm just visualizing you with the big beard and the big gauges, because I see that you have earrings and stuff. And I see you have some tattoos, and I look at Kayoko, and I'm like seeing she's very different. You guys are very different, and maybe for people that are even matching supporters that are tuning in, like they're thinking, see, it can work. You know, it's not that, you know, someone who's got a lot of tattoos, heavy metal, all this stuff, couldn't be with you know, a cute little Japanese girl, or, you know, whatever. And I think it's just it's very cool to see how it all unfolded, and how you were both really committed to finding, you know, a match and being open, right? Because even her, she's like trying to present this to her parents, and she knows it's going to be a little bit of a hurdle, but she sees the heart behind, you know, who the person is behind you, Wonky. And I think just all that is like, you never should judge a book by its cover. There's just so much that you guys were uncovering in your story that I really think a lot of people could be like, wow, like, look at this couple. Like, they're just so great. And it's so, like, anyway, it's just very cute. And I really loved your story. So thank you so much for sharing. And that whole point of being open and honest, and not being afraid that that will scare her away, or, you know, because in the end, that's like the foundation of creating your relationship, right? And being that open. So it takes a lot of bravery. Yeah, anyways, really cool. So thank you so much for sharing, guys. So, okay, so thank you so much. So just moving on into our next couple. We have an awesome couple that's an international couple also. And we have Robert and Carina Cunningham. So we're very excited to hear from them.
Thanks, Shizuka. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah, so thank you so much. We have just 15 minutes to share our story. So I guess we're gonna go right to it. So I'm from Uruguay, and I was 19 years old when I was told that I was youth pastor back then, and they told me there's gonna be a workshop in Korea, GTGY workshop, first one in the history for youth leader. Do you wanna go? And I asked like, when it is? It's in 2 weeks. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for this. But I really felt in my heart like I have to go, isn't it? Like I have to go to that workshop. So yeah, I did all the planning and whatever before I realized I was flying to Korea for my first time in my life. And in Korea, we were like there, and the groups, like, it was really amazing. It was 1,000 youth, young people there, and so it was like the biggest,
from all over the world.
The biggest crowd of young people I ever seen in just one single place. And they made the groups like randomly, isn't it? Like by game, 3 people, 5 people, 7 people. You know, the game that you get together as a group. And then I moved to another group because I wanted to be the translator, because I knew Portuguese and English, so I could translate for a group. And then suddenly Robert came to my group as well, because he wanted to be in a place where he didn't have
other GPA members, because I was I was going into my 3rd year, and I felt like, hey, this is my first workshop. It's been a while since I was just a participant. So I was like, I just want to be a participant. I'm going to be away from other people. So actually, I got out of this one group and went to this group.
Yeah. So we ended up being in the same group, and I saw him. And from the moment I saw him, I was like, wow, he's really such a good brother. He's a really good person. Like, you can see Robert he just like emanates a vibration of like goodness and kindness. So I was like, wow, no, I never felt something like so I never met someone like him, isn't it? So, you know, in the workshop, brother and sister, we were like talking with each other, but of course, like I kind of have like a crush on him, like oh, this brother can be really good, oh my gosh, this brother. But I wasn't the only one. Like, all the sisters in my group have a crush on Robert, so so I was like kind of like struggling with that. But I remember I was in the 21-day workshop, and I was like, I don't wanna this to be the center of my workshop. I came here to like connect with God and connect with brothers and sisters. And I was walking to the tree of blessing, and I remember like feeling like Robert is such a like pure person, humble heart. I kind of like make him, I cannot just like have this feeling for him without his permission or without God's permission, isn't it? So I really pray there, like offering my feelings to God, to him, to God, and I just felt like a relief that I never felt in my life, like kind of like everything. I still appreciate him as a brother and sister, but I just as a brother, but I just didn't have that the strong crush obsession, isn't it, on my mind about him. So that was really beautiful for me, and back then.
Yeah, for me, my impression, I mean, she was kind of like the glue for our team. I remember that. And I was always just like impressed by like how she was like translating between like our Portuguese, like our members who were from Brazil, and then with those of us who spoke English, and just like, and I was pretty impressed by that, and just with talking. But to be honest with you, I was really just, I guess, focused on the workshop. So I didn't have any feelings like that myself at the time. And so for me, it was just like, hey, I met a really, really cool people. But then I went on with my life. I went on to GPA after that for my third year, like I said. Yeah, I feel like that year had a lot of experiences that helped me to start preparing. For one, it was like my parents, for the first time, got an approach from a couple of the people. And I remember the first time I was like, oh my gosh, this is real, like this could happen. So actually having that experience helped me to start being like, okay, I have to really prepare. I have to take this really seriously. But I think one of the biggest, one of the biggest things that I felt was still kind of blocking me from really feeling ready for the matching was a struggle I had with pornography. And I was fortunate enough that when I came out of GPA that I met High Noon, and then through High Noon, like things just changed for me like 180 degrees. And so I remember being in such a different place at the end of 2017 and starting 2018, where I really felt free, and I really felt like, wow, you know, like I don't know, I just felt like maybe this is the year. I don't know, for some reason I felt like 2018 was going to be a really big year.
Yeah. So, but for me, like after we met, like my life continued. Of course, I was still youth pastor, and yeah, I was still like studying and doing all the things, but I have an opportunity to travel, and I was after my 7-day fasting. I was starting to get ready, and I always had like, oh, whenever I see my future husband, I will see him. I'm gonna know that it's him, isn't it? But what happened is like I had that experience with a brother, and like get not obsessed, but like I thought it was a spiritual message. He is the one, and there were like so many points, like common things that they were like, oh my gosh, this is the person, isn't it? And like and I really struggle because like, okay, that family, they are saying like I'm not ready. So I was like, should I wait? Should I not wait? Should I wait because it was a message from heaven that he's not ready, so maybe I just need to wait for him. But in all that process and struggling and a lot of anxiety and a lot of nervous, I realized that I wasn't having the right heart to become the matching process. Like my heart should be like, I'm open to anyone, isn't it? So I started to really be serious about like, hey, I'm actually not ready because I'm not having the heart, isn't it? So I started to really go strong with really like, okay, I'm not yet there, but I'm gonna start to do conditions, and I'm gonna be open, and I wanna like whenever I sit to write my matching papers, I wanna feel like any person can be, and I'm okay. I don't wanna be thinking about someone else, isn't it? So I work on that. That was my goal. And at the end of 2017, I sent a message, like a video message, let everyone know about a fishing condition for the unification of North and South America that we have here in Uruguay, starting by True Father. And on all those people I sent the message, I sent it to Robert. And Robert was like, oh, I'm so sorry I cannot participate, but please let me know how it was. So I sent him like a follow-up about here's how it was and everything. And then after that, immediately he asked me like, and how is the weather in Uruguay? I was like, what do you want to know about the weather in Uruguay? It's like, so I went, something I forgot to tell is like, in 2016, I told my dad about Robert because he was constantly asking me, well, so what kind of person you want for the matching? What kind of person you want for the matching? So I mentioned Robert's name in 2016, but of course, like it wasn't ready. So back, we were at like now, 2018, beginning of 2018, and I come to my dad, Dad, remember like that name I mentioned in 2002 years ago? He's asking me how is the weather in Uruguay right now. And like, he was like, he's just want to talk, just talk to him. There's nothing wrong there. He's just a brother asking you about the weather in Uruguay. I was like, he can Google that in the internet. I was like, okay, stop freaking out. Just answer. Okay, so I started to answer and write with him a couple messages.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I think it was like someone that I met 2 years ago, and it was like, oh, whoa, that's really cool what you're doing. And I guess I thought I'd just take the opportunity to kind of catch up. Like, yeah, what is your life like in Uruguay? Maybe that wasn't the best conversation starter. I don't know.
It was good. I was just being dramatic.
But yeah, so that's just where we began kind of talking again and really actually kind of getting to know each other. Because I didn't remember too much of our interactions from GTG. But there was when like we started just kind of just sharing just like, oh, things about ourselves. And pretty quick, I guess because it was the beginning of the year, we both were sharing a little bit things that we're now trying in the new year. And for me, I was doing a blog. I started a personal blog, and she also was like, wow, I also do a blog, or I used to do a blog. That's so cool. Like, and then she said something so cute. She's just like, remember in GTG, now Kimi said that we need to have like someone to keep us accountable, to support us in these goals that we have. And I remember thinking, I'm like, that is so, wow, okay, sure, like let's be accountability partners in this.
So we say like accountability, like we're gonna write one blog per month, and if someone else, like if he doesn't write his blog in a month, I had to write two. So that was like the kind of like the deal.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and it felt like we were just kind of like having a friendship in a way, you know. But to be honest, I started to really like kind of see things that I really respected. I liked the certain values that I seen that we shared as we just kind of talked. For us, it was really just like once a week. It was like I sent a message, and a week later she sent a message.
He will take like 3 to 4 days to answer to me. So of course I will take 3 or 4 days at least to reply, isn't it? Like us, I couldn't show.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and so, but then I remember thinking like, hey, she could be someone that I could maybe start a process with. So I told my parents about it, but for even myself, I didn't feel quite like ready. I don't know. I was like, okay, probably like maybe late in the year. We'll see, you know?
So of course I will continue updating my dad about my conversation with Robert. And a part of me didn't want it to be like, I thought he wasn't ready and he wasn't the person for me, just because I thought he would say no to me. So I just really kept like, I didn't want it to have illusions about or any expectation, and I really wanted to keep it as a friendship, because I already went through the process of like an illusion to be broken, and it was really hard, isn't it, to take it out from my mind. So I was like, I'm not gonna have any illusion with someone else without having like an official matching, isn't it? So I was like, okay, this is not gonna happen. I finished my matching papers, and I was getting ready to go to Toronto as an exchange student. So my dad contacted David Stewart to check if there's a place for me where I can live. And my dad, instead of saying like, hello, Mr. Stewart. Where do you think my daughter can live? He said, hello, Mr. Stewart. Do you know the Cunningham family? And so they started to talk about, yeah, I know him. Yeah, can you ask them if they actually can have like a can you ask me they can my daughter and his son can start a matching process? And yeah, that was out of my will. Like I never asked my dad to do that, and he came in and he told me like, what do you did, what? So I was like, okay, my heart was like stop. I was like so nervous, and it's like, okay, I don't know what is gonna happen. And so and then at the next day, literally the next day, I received a message from Robert saying like, hello, Carina, it's been very beautiful to talk with you, but I think I want to get ready for the matching process, and I think we should pause our back and forward communication. So pause. Okay. He want to stop talking. Okay, it's a no. You see that? What you did? You ruined my friendship. What are you doing? Why you told him? I never asked you to do that. Now I have such a beautiful friendship with him, and you just ruined it. Yeah, I was so crying, upset. Like I was so. I don't know. Like yeah, like so frustrated with like because of the situation, and yeah, I was like that a couple days.
And then for me, like on my side, actually I hadn't heard that her parents had approached my parents. So when I decided that I wanted to send that message of like, hey, I think we should pause this, conversation we've been having, I didn't know about the proposal. So I sent it, and then the next day, my dad, I was helping him with work, I think, and we were driving back, and he told me, he's like, hey, so we got another proposal. We got one from the Mendez family. I was like, really? I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, Papa, I told her like to stop talking like yesterday. And then immediately I got on and like, I told her, I was like, hey, you know what I said? That wasn't in response to your proposal, but I think we still need to take a break so we can actually like pray about this and, figure this out. So from that point, we decided to do like a 40-day condition with our parents and to pray about it. And
yeah,
okay,
1 minute just
sure.
for him to
well,
share.
Yeah, I think it was kind of amazing the way that God can kind of like answer us, I feel, in prayer when we're really seeking an answer, because this was like the first time that I really was considering this person, and like, well, I was like, wow, am I ready for this stage? Should we take this step? I don't know, so I remember really praying in that time, and I think I was doing like probably a reading condition, something. And I remember one night I had this like experience where I felt like God, I almost felt like a fatherly voice or in my mind that was kind of like, do you know how special she is? Like, who are you? And I remember being like really hit by that, and it made me just consider like, oh, wow, that's God's heart for, everybody, God's like, this is all his precious children, and I felt like God was just really trying to make me sure and clear. It's like, hey, like, if you're going to do this, then like, I'll go forward, then like, this is a serious kind of thing, and yeah, it's been nice to know. Like, I still fondly think about that because I realize just like more and more how special she is. So yeah.
Yeah, so this is our matching story. Maybe another time we can share more about the matching process, but yeah, that's how we met.
Thank you guys. Thank you for sharing your story. Yeah, definitely really sweet. A lot of good information from you guys also. I was just thinking, it's just funny when you go to programs, you don't always, especially if you're like global talking, you're not really thinking, maybe, I know something maybe for girls, I know that was for me, but like, it's a little bit on your mind, but I just love how you don't expect it. You kind of have a first encounter and then, you go on your separate ways and somehow, get reconnected through all these different ways. And it's just really interesting and cool to see how God kind of led you guys back together. I also, another point that I really loved is I love how mature, you guys had a really mature, approach. I felt like, Robert, you had some things to deal with that you're like, I need to take care of this. And then even Carina, you're like, well, especially with that other brother, you're like, I have all these emotions and maybe I'm just not ready, or because, and because of that decision, you guys can work on some things. And then when the timing was better, you come around. And I also love how bold your dad and your parents were, Carina, because I think that is also really important too. So those that are listening in, I think that there is a lot of benefits to being a little bit bold, whether as like just a candidate, you think you're feeling something, you kind of go for it, or parents just being like, like, hi, Mr. Stewart. Like, I know the Stewart family so well, and I could just see, Uncle David anyways. And then you'd be like, so what's a Cunningham family? Like, I just love that. It's just, bold, direct, and but and then also another thing that I really think is really cool is like, you can easily have miscommunication, but you're able to correct that quickly. And sometimes things seem really bad, but it's actually not that bad. And you never know in the end what is really going on. So that's another thing that I think can happen a lot in matching processes and things like that. A lot of miscommunication, but sometimes it's better to kind of see what really is going on behind the scenes. But anyways, guys, thank you so much. Like, such a sweet story. I love both these couples. Like, I love hearing the stories. Like, they're just so great because it's all unique and different, and God works in so many different ways. So, okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Isaac, and we'll see if there's questions and go from there.
But the first question is for Wonky and Kayoko. Try to put these two questions, they're related, I'll put them together. But what do you think was the biggest difference between you guys that you felt was the most difficult to overcome? And a little follow-up is, do you feel like your differences complement each other, or sometimes like you're too different from each other?
Hey, can you repeat that one more time?
No problem. What was the biggest difference between you guys that you felt was the most difficult to overcome? And do you feel like your differences are mostly like compliments to each other, or sometimes are they more challenges?
I think I think it's definitely a little bit of both. Compliments and then definitely challenges too. But I think our differences really helped us overcome a lot of challenges. Loving each other unconditionally. Try to understand each other. Kind of got background. Family situations. So I just share real quick. I think one thing that Kayoko struggled a lot with. I think there's a lot of stuff, but I think one is so I started smoking cigarettes, since age 10 or 11, right? So it's an on and off relationship with cigarettes. Even to this day, she knows that I struggle with I don't smoke now. I take the nicotine gum, but it's just, especially with my line of work, I do junk removal, kind of like construction kind of work. So it's hard work, long hours. So, kind of like that, for example, that's a difference, between us. It's, I think that's one of the struggles that, one of the differences that she struggles a lot, but I'm really happy that, she kind of loved me unconditionally, no matter what, my good and bad. So yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, and a lot of things. I think we don't have common thing, like too different. Everything is too different, and I'm not sure what is the biggest one, but the music we listen to different, and foods we like, and then everything's language different, culture, everything. But like I found like at the first date, I kind of realized he's too different from me, but he started to witness to random person. And I felt like, oh, that's the common thing between us. Like we have divine principle, we have same like true parents. That's the common thing. That's why like, we could kind of overcome challenge, because we have same faith thing. Yep.
Yeah, I think you know,
You don't.
we have a lot of differences and struggles, but I think in a way, you know, it helps us to grow in our life of faith. Definitely is to you know, definitely understand each other. Like she said, you know, we both have the principle, and that's one thing that we have, you know, we can understand each other. Even with our life of faith, it's different. Our relationship with God's different. What inspires us but the church is 100% different. And, you know, we help each other out 100%. And we help each other out when we, you know, to understand, make, yeah. So.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing so honestly and openly with us. I can tell the audience was really inspired by your answers that you're sharing. Right, that even if we may be so different, right, still we have this common base from true parents, from the principle. We want to, you know, be completely committed to each other. It's really beautiful. Thank you. All right, next question is for Robert and Carina. Both of you shared in your matching process, you had this experience of, you know, bringing it to God, bringing it to Heavenly Parent, and offering it up. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit on that, on the importance of that vertical connection with God through your matching process.
I mean, I think even as Wonky and Kayoko were saying, it's like, you know, we each need our own relationship with God, you know, and I think that's a really important thing to have before you begin the process, is like your unique connection with God, you know, and I think that was just like personally pretty important to me as I was developing as a person. I didn't know if I was motivated, but the fact that like, oh, because I want to get matched, I need this relationship with God. I just felt like, yeah, that was important in my life to really feel connected. And I was fortunate for the experiences I had to, you know, through GPA to really build the foundation for my life of faith. Anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, I think like the preparation to get like in the matching process is like to become a really good person, isn't it? So I realized in the age of 15 that everything I will do will be as a preparation for the matching for my future husband, isn't it? So I started to write letters to my future husband at the age of 15, 1 letters per month. And in the day of the blessing, I gave him like a 100 letters book with all the letters since for 7 years, and like we review, isn't it? Like we read them again this year, and it really like everything that you do, it becomes like a preparation for your future family, for your future husband, wife, isn't it? So it's like, of course, like we need that preparation with God, and it's that connection with your parents, and for your sake. But everything becomes like a preparation for like a great family, isn't it? So yeah, I would add that, like connecting like God with each of your steps you're doing to get ready for the matching process, isn't it?
And actually, she wrote letters not just to her husband. She wrote future husband. She wrote letters to God, actually, right? So actually, there's like double. Well, at some point, she merged the two because she's like, oh, well, I'm writing the same thing in a way. But yeah, for a long period of time, she was also writing to both. Yeah.
Wow, that's beautiful. It must have been such a great gift that you could give to Robert, and you can share together. That's awesome.
So blown away.
Thank you. That's a great practice. Something great we can share with our younger brothers and sisters. Thank you so much. All right, next questions for both couples, but I'll start with Wonky and Kayoko, and then we'll go over to Robert and Carina. Was there a time during your matching process that you doubted the way forward? And if so, what kept you going or got you through that time?
Telling myself that, you know, I wasn't worthy enough. I wasn't worthy enough for Kayoko. And the reason is because of my history, my past. I was kind of expecting to get matched with someone who already has, I guess, history or a past. So they somewhat, you know, somewhat understand, you know, the stuff I did, or even the stuff I was doing at the time, or where I was with my life of faith. But yeah, so I think that's one thing, you know, I kind of doubted on the way, because you know, Kayoko is she's wicked smart, because she moved to America and went to college for 4 years. They know the language, they know the culture. The only reason why she moved to America is because she read Father's words talking about the UN and how important it is, to be connected with the UN. And she got inspired. And so that's why she decided to go to college in New York. You know, and for me, it just, you know, I never graduated ninth grade. You know, I got my GED. And so, yeah, I think that's one thing I kind of doubted. It's just like, am I worthy enough to even have such a beautiful, you know, smart wife? So I think I was scared. You know, I was really scared to make that big move.
Honestly, I never thought about it. I mean, I think it's because this matching process was kind of really smooth for me. And then I felt like my parents always told me that too, but like this process was kind of like spiritual world kind of pushed. And then yeah, maybe through having parents pushed. So I never thought of like doubt about it. I mean, struggling, yes, but but yeah. So, I don't know.
Okay, so there's never really a moment of doubt for you, Kayoko. Now, Wonky, I wanted to go back to what you were saying.
No, I mean,
No.
I've never thought about it. Someone else. No.
Wonky, I wanted to go back to what you were saying.
A lot of struggling.
A lot of struggling.
I want to go back to what you were saying about, you know, feeling that fear and that doubt, that feeling of unworthiness. So what helped you to get through that, through those feelings?
For sure. Yeah, I think definitely talking about it, bringing up my past with Kayoko. I mean, it's a long story, but just really being honest with her, you know, my mistakes, stuff I'm not proud of. Just really having trust in God, for sure. Because I really believe that God is always watching, and He knows the conditions that we make. So there's always a blessing at the end of the tunnel, but we kind of have to do the work to get to that blessing. So I think my faith in your parents and God, and a lot of communication with my old man, my dad. And like I said, you know, if you're a second gen, you know, parents are not there, I really suggest finding someone that you can talk to, an aunt, an uncle, an older brother or sister, anybody, you know, because it's a big move, but you're not alone. So yeah, there's always someone there to give you guidance. Yeah.
Great, thank you, Wonky. It's really great. All right, same question for Robert and Carina. Was there a time during your conversation or your matching process that you doubted the way forward, and what kept you going? What kept you going or got you through it?
For myself, I think like my biggest struggle in the matching process was like a difference of expectations in families of how the matching process work, and like there wasn't nothing bad or wrong about it, but I guess I have like having unspoken expectations from both sides and like not really compromise that I really struggle with that doing that. But I do remember like what may help me to go through was like really remember like feeling like this is worthy to fight for, this is worthy to keep going, this is worthy to 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 overcome, isn't it? And even if it was difficult, like having my mind not just in the struggle of the moment, but having my mind in like what is to come, isn't it? So I definitely find out later that it was more than worthy, isn't it? So thanks God. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Karina. Robert?
Yeah, I feel like, honestly speaking, I didn't have too much doubt about our couple. To be honest, I mean, as always, I mean, there's some challenging things that come up every once in a while, but yeah, I think my family did some of the proactive doubting for us, or like questioning. You know, I'm like, are you sure? You know, like, and that was valuable. And but at the same time, I think I had to learn how to control my own reaction. You know. I say it lightly, but you know, as families can be, you know, we can have our strong opinions, we can have our strong feelings. So I think I really had to learn how not to take it so personally, you know, and like realize, hey, like, you know, they're free to share what they want, what they do think, and ultimately they're trying to come from a place of care, you know. So yeah, that for me, I just felt that was a really big growth that I needed to go through. And I guess what might say to anybody is like, I think like the matching, from my experience, is such a growing process for everyone involved. You know, you definitely going through the process, but then even for your families. I mean, I felt like with my family, we had to take our relationship and strive to go to the next level and work out things that probably had been under the surface for a while. You know, and so it was kind of God's way of like shaking it up and bringing it to the surface and try to create that harmony and even healing in some sense.
Yeah, I think that's a really important point to bring up. The family, you know, definitely be involved, especially if you have siblings. They'll probably give their opinions and things like that. But it's all part of the process, as you said, of growing together as a family, and especially as joining together as two families. And thank you, Karina, too. I really liked that point of, you know, looking forward and thinking, you know, kind of reminding ourselves this is worth it, right? This is going to no, this is my blessing. This is my eternal blessing that I'm investing in. So thank you. All right, one final question for both couples. I'll just kind of leave it open because this came up in both couples' testimonies, kind of at two different extremes, but I wanted to hear some thoughts on the importance of first impressions.
I'd say it's important to a certain degree, right? Of course. But like I shared, like I didn't have like fireworks, you know, when I first met Karina, but I really did think, I'm like, wow, this is a like awesome person, you know, cool person to like spend this workshop with. Yeah, she made enough of an impression that like when it came time to like kind of talk, like I kind of like, I was like, oh yeah, like I would like to kind of get to know this person a little bit more. I don't know. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, I don't know. First impression, I don't know how much, and I think Wonky and Kayoko has a better answer for that. Their story is more focused on that.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's tough to say because, you know, even when I was talking to Justin Okamoto about the match, and you know, I think everyone kind of has like, you know, so, you know, if they have a specific someone they're kind of looking for in a match. When I was talking to Justin about my match, you know, I even said that, you know, I'm kind of open. You know, I'm open to getting matches with someone that already had a relationship before. Or, you know, that's not 100%, you know, they may not really believe in true parents. That's okay with me. So the first time I met Kayako, my first impression was kind of like clean cut, kind of very, what's the right word? Kind of like Japanese, kind of like very Japanese sister like, very sweet, nice, very cute, and but I think first impression was just her heart for the divine principle. I think that what really got me, and her faith, definitely her faith with the church.
Right.
I'm not sure if I answered that question.
That's good.
Yeah.
Anything to add, Kayako?
For me, the first impression is important too, but the second impression is more important. Because for me, the first impression of Wonky was really bad. So scary. I don't want to talk about him. But second impression was good. So, well, I don't know, communication.
Got it. That's good. Yeah. First impressions aren't everything. You can always make up for it and show your better side later on. Thank you, Kayako, Wonky. All right, I just want to give another big round of applause to our two couples. Thank you so much for sharing your stories and taking this time to answer questions from our audience. If you know how to use the reactions, you can give them a virtual applause, but I'm just so grateful to have this time. Before we end, just want to thank everyone. I want to hand it back to Shizuka for any last words or any announcements.
Okay, thank you, Isaac. And thank you once again, Robert, Carina, Wonky, Kayoko, for sharing your story. I mean, I think you guys really just shared so openly and honestly. And yeah, it's really neat. I love doing these because it's so cool to see how unique each couple is and how different they are, but how it works. And very sweet, really awesome. So thank you so much for coming on with us and sharing your story.